18 Hampton Overtime Studios. We are in the building. This is Old and Great. How y'all living? I am tired. I was at Canoween last night. We straight kicked it. It was dope. It was amazing. Major shout out to Elite Homegrown Academy, Zach Post, Elitis. They did their thing. It was dope yet again, man. How's everybody doing out there today? We have a great guest in the building today. This brother has been doing things in media here in St. Louis, in Atlanta, in different parts of the country for a while. We're getting his audio up and going. Everybody, I want everyone to give a round of applause for Palmer Alexander, everybody. Give it up for Palmer Alexander. Palmer, how you doing today?
What up, brother?
What's up? Even though you're supposed to be down here, I don't know why you not.
Yeah.
we'll save that for off air because I sure wanted you in the building. But good to see you, man. Thank you for making the time. How you living?
I'm living good. I'm above ground. I'm dried off now. You know, trust me. Don't hit me with the bus because they don't run often on Sundays. But trust and believe. I'm still pulling up in their studio. So, you know, this don't count. I mean, this counts, but it don't officially count until I pull up and sit in studio with you and bust it down. You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
I just want to definitely know this ain't the last time though. I'm definitely be on your joint though, for real. No.
Yes, sir. We want to see you in the building, but bro, if you're like me, you trying to recover from Canoween. I am straight out of it. I didn't go to sleep until I think like 4. Alarm woke me up today. What were your thoughts about Canoween 4, man? Another awesome event. What was your thoughts about last night?
Man, I'll tell you, it was it was everything, man. You know, going back there, it was my third straight year doing it. I teamed up with Zach around the time Canoween 2, and he kept telling me, man, it's gonna get bigger, and it wasn't. And Canoween 3 was when I met you. You know, you was there at Media Row. Y'all was holding it down. I was like, oh, look at this. You know, so I said, hey, they definitely doing some things. So that's how I got introduced to you. So it was just dope, man, being a part of it. And so many great people have made some more networking opportunities, and that's what it's about, though, man. So I'm grateful for how it turned out. But a brother tired, man. Ain't no what they say, no rest for the weary. You know,
For real.
Got a Blues game tomorrow. Got a couple of Blues tomorrow night, so we'll be down at the Enterprise Center covering the Blues. So it never stops, man. The marathon continues.
It does, man. I mean, Nip never lied. Rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle. It just continues. And again, man, like you said, meeting you last year at Canoween 3 was awesome. Canoween 4 was, bigger turnout back at the church. I love that venue. Like, that venue is like a character in and of itself for Canoween.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's how that venue gets down. That's
Oh
what I
yeah,
love about it.
definitely.
Right. That's what I love about it. My other question would be to you, man. I want to dive into your story. Now, you said you got Blues games because you got something you got going with the STL Blues, which is crazy. But I'm gonna get to that. Where are you from? Where are you born and raised?
Born and raised in St. Louis. You know, I grew up in the O'Fallon neighborhood, North Side.
Okay.
You know, that's where I'm born and raised, man. North St. Louis, O'Fallon neighborhood.
Okay. North City stand up. We know how that go. Much love for the North Side. Here
Yes,
on
sir.
High Off the Glass. North Side, South Side, every side of St. Louis. How was your upbringing? You 2 parents, 1 parent, grandparents. Like, how was your upbringing back in the day?
Nah, you know, my upbringing was I was raised by a village. You know, my grandmother and my aunts and stuff. You know, reared me and my brother early on. You know, my parents they worked. You know, a lot. So my grandmother and aunts raised me and my brother, and we just learned a lot of lessons. We didn't have cable, but you know we had a lot of love. But You know, growing up in the '80s, and you being black, you're gonna be a St. Louis baseball Cardinal fan. I mean, how could you not? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
And with
right.
Ozzie and
The
Willie
Wizard.
McGee, Lonnie Smith, Tito Landrum, seeing brothers like that, and they look like the brothers that I would walk past, or on the corner, or whatnot. That really also help us, fall in love with baseball, and that's where that real first love of sports really started, was with the Cardinals.
Right. True. And I get that. Like, especially, it kind of sucks for black kids coming up in St. Louis. Not kind of, it does, because they don't have. I don't think there's any. Is there any brothers on the team this year? Besides Pujols and Yachty, I mean, I count them. But
Jack Flaherty, Jack Flaherty was the only other brother on the team. But I
hold on,
always felt,
hold on, wait,
if you,
slow down, Palmer. There's a brother on the team. His name is Jack Flaherty.
yeah, Jack Flaherty, yeah.
That's crazy as hell. What the? All right, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, Jack Flaherty wears number 22,
Wow,
and
where'd he get that name from?
hey, mommy, daddy, that's a parent, that's a parental
Pretty
conversation.
much.
Yeah, um, but if you, I don't know if you ever heard that term used, like how Major League Baseball invests in the Dominican Republic.
Right.
If Cardinals had invested in more baseball programs in the inner city, St. Louis would have been a hotbed for African American baseball
It would have
players.
been. It would have been. Yeah.
No doubt about it. I mean,
Right.
because we ate, drank, and slept baseball. The football Cardinals at the time, they wasn't that good,
Right.
and I only got to enjoy them like for about for 8 seasons before they moved to Arizona, and we didn't have an NBA team.
Right.
Uh,
Shoulda.
so
Shoulda had one.
yeah, and then I end up becoming a huge fan of the Blues as a kid.
Right.
So yeah, being a black kid, there was no NBA team. Gravitated towards hockey. My dad was a huge hockey fan. He listened to a lot of Cam West back in the day, and then I became a big fan of the Blues. And then look at it, I'm covering them today.
I mean, that's beautiful. I love the full circleness about that. And to go back to what you said about the Cards not investing in the black community, it seems like they tried to, but they did it too late. I mean, and I know in the 2000s they tried to do Redbird rookies, and they set up little ball fields in like North City, South City, like different parts of St. Louis. But it was just I actually put my son in a Redbird rookies when he was younger, about fifth, sixth grade, and the organizational side of it was trash. Like, the guy they had running it had no organizational skills. He couldn't organize a lemonade stand, let alone Redbird rookies. With a bunch of kids all across St. Louis. It was sad. So it was like what you were saying was true. Like, if they would have really invested, and that's with the White Sox, with the Cubs, with the Red Sox, with the Oakland A's, with every baseball team in a neighborhood, in a city that has a black community, which every baseball team does, they all should have invested more into into their local communities and get more of these baseball players. But to get back to your story, so you high school, college, where'd you go?
So high school, I went to Riverview Gardens in North St. Louis County,
Right on.
and then I graduated from North County Tech, and so I graduated from North County Tech in '93, and um, I didn't go to college. I got recruited uh, by one school. It was a D3 school out of Indiana. And, back in '93, my mind wasn't right, man. I was like, man, why the hell I want to go to a D3 school? They don't play on TV. So I just totally dismissed it. And
What sport?
yeah, I
Was
just
it gonna
totally
be
dismissed
baseball?
it.
Baseball?
It was basketball. It was basketball.
Oh, okay, right on.
And so my basketball coach talked me into going to the military. But I came from a military family.
Okay.
And so he would tell me, look, I can hoop all over the world. and and then get compensated for it from the Air Force. I'm like, well, shit, that don't sound bad, So
Okay.
I kind of have this half-cocked idea: go to the Air Force, get great benefits, see the world, and hoop the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying? And collect a pension.
Hell yeah.
And then, it didn't work out. I ended up going to the Navy, and then that didn't work out. Went AWOL. I was up there in Kenosha, up there off the Great Lakes.
Wisconsin? Kenosha, Wisconsin?
Yeah, I was off the Great Lakes.
Okay.
And
oh, wait, Great Lakes boot camp?
Yeah. I was in Naval boot camp.
Okay, that was in Illinois. I went to that mug. I was in.
Yeah, Great Lakes, Illinois, aka the Great Mistake.
Yeah, it is a great mistake. Yeah. Wait, so you was at boot camp and ended up going AWOL?
Yeah, I went AWOL.
Wow, what happened?
I just wasn't feeling it, man. I guess that St. Louis, I just wasn't feeling it. I think after a while, when I was going through the whole process, and I remember at one point, I remember getting offered like a $5,000 sign-on bonus, and think about this. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just wanted to hoop, right? I wanted to get away from the streets of St. Louis because it was really bad. A lot of my friends were getting killed and shit like that.
Right.
And I blew off my one opportunity to go to a college. So I figured well, let me do this and figure it out.
Right.
And so when I went into the Navy, man, I went in as a mess specialist. That's the job they assigned me because I did not know I wanted to be a I just wanted to hoop.
Right.
That's all my mind was. I figured that by way of getting out.
Right.
So, I did that, and I was like, well, cool. I'll give me a little sign-up bonus, right? I went to a chief petty officer. It was like week 3 doing training, and he basically told me, you know how a chief petty officer is. He cussed me out. He told me I was a fool, thinking I'm gonna get $5,000. And right then and there, I'm like, oh, since I'm not getting my money, shit, well, I'm not going to be here. So, I move hell and high water, not to be up there. So I went and ended up going AWOL, had to go to captain's mess. They threw me in a holding cell. Yeah. They gave me, they tried to intimidate me. But like that St. Louis shit, man, that's some real stuff, man. You meet like a real St. Louis cat, and when you out of town in different environments, that St. Louis shit is something like they knew just certain levels. When you meet a real St. Louis cat, man.
Right.
They knew like when I was up there, man, like, come on, man. People from LA, New York, Texas, I was the only cat out of 80 in that group that was from St. Louis in that whole camp. And they knew not after a while, like, man, we don't want to fuck with the St. Louis.
Right. Okay, and walk me through it because I joined the Navy just like you did, and I did not get a signing bonus. I wish the hell they would have offered that. So you went to week 3 of your basic training. You went to the chief petty officer. He says you wasn't getting it. So then that
he said Chief Petty Officer Wild said you ain't getting shit. That's exactly what he told me. I'm like, what?
But you signed it with your recruiter, right?
Yeah, I signed it with my recruiter. I was like 18.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they like it's an extra sign-on bonus, but I didn't know how it broke down. I know if it was like 1,000 here, 1,000 there. They wasn't really clear.
Yeah.
And look, recruiters are great, man. They spit their game. They tell you a whole bunch of good stuff. They told me I could eat 3 square meals a day. I could wake up whenever I felt like it.
What they say? Whenever you felt like it. That's a lie.
Yeah. I could watch cartoons on Saturday mornings and shit like that. I mean, they told me all kinds of shit.
Oh wow, they lying like a motherfucker. Okay. Yeah, because you definitely gonna get 3 squares a day, but you gonna get that because they gonna run the shit out your ass and work the shit out you. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, and you know what? That chief petty officer was on some bullshit because you probably would have got that once you completed basic training, but that's crazy. All right, so you go AWOL from there. Then you bump that. I got to get the hell out of here. What's your next move?
So next move, I come back to St. Louis.
Okay.
Come back home, like around 94.
Okay.
And then I'm like, well, I still have the itch to hoop. And so since I signed the CBA, Continental Basketball Association league office used to be downtown in St. Louis.
Okay.
Mark Lampin, who's now president of the Jacksonville Jaguars, was the commissioner of the CBA.
Okay.
So one day I worked for a temp company, and I just so happened to notice that they was on the fourth floor. I go up there. I'm like, look, man, I'm interested in entering the draft. Uh, Mark Lampin told me, he said, look, kid, I don't want you to throw away all your college eligibility. Just go home and think about it, and then let me know in a couple of days.
Right.
My mind was already made up. I'm like, well, shit. I'm going to take a swing at it, and I entered the 1994 CBA draft. I went undrafted. I got a call from Marty Blake. You can look him up. Marty Blake is a former NBA scout.
Okay.
He was the first super NBA scout.
Okay. This is the CBA league now.
This is CBA.
Oh, wow.
In '94. But Marty Blake, who was the number one NBA scout at the time, gave me a call, and I'm sitting on my phone. I'm at 18, unknown. You know what I'm saying? I went to a small high school, and here it is. I'm talking to one of the biggest NBA scouts on the planet.
And did you know how big he was at the time? Did you
Oh, hell yeah! Because of shows like NBA Inside Stuff. I mean, I was always heavy in the sport. So I knew
Ahmad Rashad, Willow Bay, Hannah Storm.
Yeah. So I was definitely, and that's how I found out kind of who were some of the movers and the shakers also behind the scenes. So
Right.
when I'm talking to this guy, I'm like, this is just, it was like a dream come true. Just talking to him.
Right.
So I entered the draft, and they had training camps out in Davenport, Iowa, and the Quad City Thunder sent me a tryout. And I remember
Quad City Thunder.
Thunder.
Where were they out of? Was that Oklahoma? Where were they out of?
Illinois. Was part of the 4 cities up in Illinois. I think Quad City. I think they had like a team like in Springfield or Peoria or something like that.
Okay.
I think it was Quad City. They had a team out of Yakima, Washington. They had a team out of Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay.
It was I think a team out of Mexico. It was like maybe 18 at that time, like in '94.
Right.
And it just didn't end up working out. They had and then in St. Louis they had something called the Midnight League, and the Midnight League.
When I was at the one with Mayor Bosley.
Yeah, '95. That Midnight League. Let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
That league was the who's who. I mean, in St. Louis hoops.
Right.
I mean, man, you have to have your shit together. You know what I'm saying? You really have to have your shit together. And so I played in that Midnight League, and just let me know how big it was. When the season was over, Mayor Bosley actually had dinner for us at City Hall.
Wow.
And then it is what it is. Burbage Jones came in.
Who?
Burbage Jones came in. Burbage Jones is the father of Mayor Tashara Jones.
Oh, okay.
He came in, but the crazy thing, he was the city comptroller.
Okay.
But he came in, but it was like days after he was on news for embezzlement. He got indicted for embezzlement, some crazy shit like that.
Oh.
Which shocked a lot of us when we saw him come in there. And then to top it off, Jesse Jackson was there. The Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Wow.
So I'm like, damn, like this Midnight League, which brought a lot of brothers together, got a lot of brothers off the street.
It did.
Bringing these type of people together. But again, it had some bad actors, people taking money, because it was a good program, man. They had a league down at the Wohl Center, and then the league was so big they had one at the Wohl Center and at the down at the Cherokee Center,
right.
Down on the south side. So they probably had like 30 teams at Wohl and like 20 at Cherokee. But it was great for the city. They just messed up.
Talk about because when I moved here in '01, right, and when I moved here in '01, that was big. Like that was that was Midnight Run was well talked about. I had the only reason I never got to one is because my work schedule. I was working third shift, and then when I would get off my regular job second shift, I'd be tired as hell. So I never made it, which I'm still mad about because I'm a hoop head. I'm so glad that you brought this up. So glad that you even you had a basketball career. You talk about it on high off the glass. Appreciate you for that. What happened to because it was already always rumors, and that was one of the things that I heard. Like the money got misappropriated, appropriated for the event. But like, talk about like the other inside stuff, why it all the way dissolved because it was a great program, like you said.
Yeah, it was a great program, but but being around St. Louis and it's a big city, but small city mentality sometimes, and
Right.
um, you get black people who aren't used to having power
Mm,
and influence, and when you get that cocktail mixed together, it may corrupt, you
right.
know.
Right.
And one of the guys I know, Pee Wee Leonard, was one of the instructors. He had a lot of cachet in the streets of St. Louis, and he also was a star for SLU University.
Mm,
So when he's giving us as players trying out the edict about how important this league is and giving back, he's one of the main people taking, that how brothers are. We look at each other like, you see him, man, f what he talking about, because he ain't
uh,
about what he saying.
that's not all. That's not every brother's mindset, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, well, I'm just like I say, like from around here, because we're used to seeing that, and
Hmm.
like St. Louis black fame in St. Louis is such a crippling disease,
Talk
you
about that.
know.
What'd you say? Black fame? What'd you say?
Yeah, black fame is a crippling disease.
Oh, okay. What you mean?
Oh well, it's like when certain black people when they ascend to the start of popularity.
Hmm.
Again, it kind of corrupts and it can skewer their vision. You know what I'm saying? Making one feel you know forget their roots and stuff like that. I grew up again raised by a village. You know what I'm saying? The village mentality.
Right.
Everybody we know we look after each other and whatnot.
Right.
Not if I got up, then I'm not gonna help my neighbor who's been helping me all the time. You know what I'm
True.
saying?
True.
So uh, sometimes when those elite two get into place, they get the alligator on. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? They always they say they want to help, but when they do stick the arm out, it's about as long as the alligator.
I hear you, and you're right. You're right to a certain extent, but why do you label it a black thing per se? Because I think that's a thing in general. You look at Fortune 500 companies, which are majority white owned. It's like it's a crab. It's the same as I'll just use a different metaphor that you know about this one. Crab in a barrel mentality. They trying to pull each other down so they can whoever can get the most money. So I wouldn't label it just a us thing here in St. Louis. I think that's a everywhere thing. Like sometimes the bad part is humans are selfish. But the one thing that I've noticed here recently with the old podcast network I was with, this one that I'm with now, even more so here, there are black people and younger folks here in St. Louis that are helping each other. You got Kick It with what he's doing here over at Hampton. You got what is it? You got Antonio down on South Broadway doing his thing. Tweezy the Don. I kind of push back on that whenever I hear that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean that's fine, but I mean I'm somebody I lived it. AM, FM, I know it like the back of my hand. Whether it's the brothers or the white guys.
Yeah.
So white and black.
Yeah.
I know it forward and backwards. So
Right.
the blacks who are up and entitled, they have alligator arms.
Mm.
That's just what they do.
Yeah.
The ones who are white, they're gonna take care of their own. I've been in sports for 20 years. I've
Mm.
seen it firsthand. They ride their own waves. They create their own ways for them to surf on.
Right.
I'm the only brother in the press box covering the Blues hockey game. You know what? I was one of two brothers in the press box 15 years ago covering the Blues game. So in a town like St. Louis, you don't have one black man on the radio. Why is that? You know what I'm saying? That's a good question. This is the 20th largest market in the United States of America. Yeah. Well, I take that back. It's one. Is Kerry Davis, but that's the equivalent of Fox News having a brother on there. You know, I got my one.
Yeah, that's sad. It's like they gotta have one quota, and I get that, and that's the one thing, that's a major thing in St. Louis that St. Louis is lacking in, is diversity in media. Local media is not, especially on radio, it is not diverse. Now with you though, we bring it back to you. You know, you have your the last thing you said, you were working out. You were Quad City, but you said Quad City did not work out.
Yeah, Quad City didn't work out, and I ended up going. I played in the Midnight League.
Okay, yeah,
did that for a year.
Did the Midnight League?
Yeah.
How did that go?
I went to the Midnight League. I mean, I did that for one season in '95, and then after that, I went right into broadcasting.
Okay,
you know,
man.
Yeah. Well, after that '95, I was like, let me take a swing at this broadcast. I mean, I still want the hoop, but there just wasn't a lot of avenues for anybody, you know, to hoop like it was. I wish it was,
especially,
you know.
Yeah,
you look at it today. I mean, if you are between 20, 25 and 30, you still somewhat in shape, you can still find a place to ball.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like in the 90s, it just wasn't a lot of opportunities.
Right.
Especially if you wasn't over 6'7", 6'8". You know, which you already know anybody was signing your ass up.
Exactly.
So St. Louis was a hotbed for broadcasters. Now, and I said, well, let me get a shot at that.
But you say you want to hit it?
No. I'm talking about the broadcasting, man.
and I'm glad you brought to that, because I figured you were that would be shortly after you with Midnight Basketball. Why the broadcasting? Because a lot of folks here didn't realize that St. Louis was such a sports bed for media. You had sporting news here. You had major sporting radio stations here, KMOX, CBS Sports. Why did you want to jump into media here in St. Louis?
Yeah, it was just all the influences that I had growing up. Listening to Jack Buck, Ron Jacober, on the AM side, Jim Holder was another guy that had a lot of influence. On the FM side, it was DJ Jockenstein. It was Tony Scott, Kevin Pulley, Kevy Cav, DJ Cut, Toss and Ted, Stacey Static. So it was had a lot of influence on both sides. So always want to not even be pigeonholed with sports, I could be able to cross over, and do both, enjoy the best of both worlds, But yeah, the St. Louis, the Bob Costas, so many great ones. The late Brian Burwell,
right?
So
peace, Brian. Love Brian Burwell.
Yeah, that was my mentor, man. That was my mentor. He really put his arm around me, embraced me when nobody was really, was messing with me.
Wow.
Okay. He straight up put his arm around me.
I loved him. I love the work that he did for the Post-Dispatch and Turner Broadcasting. Like the stuff he did on his sideline reporting on TNT, if you look at it, it's basically how everybody else does it now. Very calm, cool demeanor, and in a rapport that he built up. Like, I think Craig Sager, rest in peace to Craig Sager and Brian Burwell, sideline reporting Hall of Famers, bro. Like, nobody does it better.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And to have someone like that to be my mentor. And let me take it back a little bit,
Go ahead.
94, I'm 18. Okay. I'm cleaning airplanes at TWA.
Oh, wow.
And
TWA was huge here.
I'm crisscrossing the seatbelts, cleaning the seat out. And here it is, the USA Today. And here's Brian Burwell's face, on the cover of the USA Today.
Right.
And 10 years later, I got his personal cell phone number, and he's mentoring me.
Oh, wow.
You know, I'm living the dream. You know what I'm saying? I
no
mean, it may
doubt.
not show to everybody else, but he's taking the time out, you know, for me. And it meant a lot to me, man. You know, because there's a lot of guys around here that I would ask for the number for advice, and then they would give me a number to a phone they don't even answer. You know what I'm saying? So it meant a lot, you know, for Brian to take that time out for me. So that's why
Right.
I would show him the most love and respect.
That's dope, man. I'm so glad that you know, when you got a story like that you can reflect on, you know what I'm saying, and like show like how it went from you cleaning out a play in the TWA, rest in peace TWA. You were a major part of St. Louis for so long, and then fast forward to, you know, you having him, you know, as a mentor like that. That's amazing. So okay, so you're jumping into media. You're being taught by one of the greatest right there in Mr. Burwell. You have influences, huge influence, major shout out, rest in peace, Jack Buck, to all, you know, Stacey Static, to all these St. Louis media legends. What's the first? Where do you go to first? Are you radio? Are you local TV? What are you doing?
Um, Man, basically, I was just trying to crack in the radio and just trying to figure the best way about it. I had I used to hang around KFNS 590 a lot,
Okay.
and Brian Stowe, he gave me, you know, some tips on how I can, you know, kind of get in the radio. I couldn't afford to go to school. I was working full time, so you know, I'm like,
Right.
I didn't want to fall any more further behind. That's what I felt. So uh, I hung around the studio, and one day Frank Cusimano and Bernie Miklasz was coming out of the studio,
Yeah, we know them.
and you know, Bernie took a liking to me, and Frank did too. And then they used to let me sit in the studio with him. And then Frank used to let me sit in on shows with him and Rob Fisher. I sat in on shows with him and Bob Costas. And then eventually it got to the point where Frank used to even let me do live reads with him. So let's just say a live read when he read a commercial about bandanas, barbecue, and
Right.
talking about how great it was. He started to gain trust with me, and we were doing like live commercial spots. So I was doing like live reads
Were you getting
on
paid for this?
KFMO.
Were you getting paid for all this work?
I wouldn't get paid for it. And you know what, to be honest, I wasn't even thinking about that because I'm like, well, damn, I'm living the dream. You know, I watch these guys on TV do their thing, and I'm just like a kid from the north side. You know, here it is, you know, I'm up here with them holding my own, you know, holding my own.
Right.
And dog, it just kept rolling after that, you know. Eventually getting on at New Black City in '03, get my very first show. And hey man, it was like hard knocks, real life, man. You know,
New Black
I got
City.
knocked.
What's New Black City? What's that?
NewBlackCity.com was the internet radio station,
Oh,
and
wow.
it was started up by uh, Richard Hort. He's a black pioneer, a radio pioneer. He's a real legend of
Oh, you talking about the Onion?
yeah, Onion Hort. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What was
That
this?
was-
Was this over there at Union and Delmar?
right there, right there at Delmar Union.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah, over
and
in Mr. Nick's building. Major shout out
yeah,
to Legacy and Mr. Nix, Mr. John Nix, who've been doing it in St. Louis for I don't know how long. Just only reason I know about that, bro, is because I used to work at 1380 ESPN Radio up there.
really, see, I was at 1380. Harry Schroeder was over there
Okay.
at the time.
Yeah.
And what was funny was I remember taking my tape over to Harry. I had an audition tape,
Right.
03. I came in there, and you know, Harry just kind of like patted me on the head, and like I'm like, all right. Upstairs from New Black City, Onion was like, "Come on over here, young man."
Yeah.
And man, I mean, he blessed me, man. You know, gave me opportunity, and basically,
Wow. What year was this?
this was 2003.
Wow.
And dig this, Onion was doing a simulcast with New Black City and WGN Radio, and
Wow.
so basically my show was the warm up, you know, his warm up act before he
lead-in.
went live
Yeah.
with Mark Kaysen, and so getting a chance to watch them work, and they was making a killing doing live reads. They were probably making like 5,000-6,000 a week.
Wow.
You know,
Doing live
off
reads.
just off advertising, off live reads. They
Yeah.
make a killing.
Yeah, buddy.
You know, and then that actually led to me going to 1.3 to beat at the
Okay.
time on Freeman Boston show.
Okay.
So I did that. I did that for about a year, and then I finally did my first TV thing, uh, Primetime Sports. On if you lived in St. Louis County, it was a show called Primetime Sports. It came on
Okay.
Channel 20,
Okay.
and it went into like 1.5 million homes in the county.
Who?
And so,
What year was this?
uh, this was '04.
Oh four.
This was when I first started doing TV, and it was Primetime Sports,
Wow.
and it went to like 1.5 homes in throughout the county
How
in
long did you
St.
do
Pete.
that for?
I did that for what? For about 4 years.
Wow.
I was making appearances on that show, and then I ended up
Oh, that was somebody else's
appearing.
show. That wasn't your show.
Yeah, I was a guest,
Okay.
and then there was another show called Chalk Talk that I did with Randy Carricker, Ricky Horton. Um, who's the other? McGraw Millhaven. There was
Yep.
Tony, former St. Louis Blues player Tony Twist,
Yep.
Malcolm Briggs. I did that.
Yep. I remember
I
that show.
did about 25 episodes of that on Charter.
I actually
You
do.
know,
I used to watch Chalk Talk, even though I think I used to hate watch it because I couldn't stand Carricker, super racist, and McGraw, same thing. He was racist, but I liked Tony Twist and Malcolm Briggs. Low key was racist. that dude,
who was local racist?
Malcolm Briggs. That dude, he even liked black folks. But I remember you on that show, bruh. I remember you on that show, and you were good. Yes, I liked that show, and you were good on
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Yeah, man. I was, and think about this. I mean, this is the grind, the hustle. I was driving a trash truck. All right, I
Right.
would drive my trash truck to Berkeley, parking on that cul-de-sac in Olivet.
Right.
I go to the restroom. I would just change. I go in the green room. They do my makeup, and I go in the studio, light it up for an hour, go back to my truck, and finish my ride in Berkeley.
Damn right.
You know,
Damn right.
yeah, I mean, that was my only shot at doing it. And I never get, man. One day, Malcolm Briggs, he was, I love Malcolm, but Malcolm used to always like to wanted me to co-sign on the blackness when
Yep.
we in a room with the other white guys
Yep.
and Randy Carricker. And then one day, he was like, "Man, I'm just a poor black man. Ain't that right, Pete?" And I looked
That
over. I
ain't
said,
true.
"Come on, man. You in the $80,000 Range Rover, bro."
Right. And nothing poor about you, Malcolm. Stop lying. Stop it. Stop that
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. Stop it.
Right.
Stop it.
For real.
Stop it. But yeah, man, that was a great experience because, one day I did piss the senses off. I told Tony Twist to go to hell. And I wrote it, I remember writing on a chalkboard. And Scott Wibbermeyer, my executive producer, he loved controversy. He liked me on the show because I gave them a little bit of controversy.
Right.
And so I guess it got too hot. Taco Bell called and they threatened to pull their sponsorship.
Oh
So they
Lord,
put me out
local
of promo.
Taco Bell. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
That's so whack. Because you told Tony Twist to go to hell. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Okay. A major shout out to Tony Twist too, because when I worked at 1380, he was cool to me. He was cool to me. He was a decent dude. I tell you who wasn't was Howard Balzer and Malcolm Briggs. They sucked, and Carricker. They sucked. But Tony was cool.
Well, H is my guy. When I was I know H since I was like 14. So that,
Right.
but I feel you though. I mean,
And-
H not fair.
and here's the thing with H. Here's the thing. Let me clarify too. I'll be specific because, like I said, I work with these cats at 1380 ESPN Radio. When it was me and him alone, and he's doing his show like that little that Sunday morning show he would do, or that show where he would just call games or give points or whatever it was. When I was
Yeah.
when he was doing his show by himself, it was good. Like our relationship was good. But when Malcolm was in there, it was like something would change. His attitude would change. It would be like a little not as nice. It was weird.
Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
You know what? That's the thing. It does happen a lot.
It does. It does.
So it's not just you. That's happened to me too many times.
You know it. You've been in
Yeah.
the rooms. You've been in
Yeah.
the rooms.
I'm triggered. You just triggered me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we got see us folks that been in local media for a little bit. You know, we get PTSD because we remember them days. But back to you for real. But back to your story. So, and major shout out to major. See, he's laughing because he know, y'all. He laughing because he know. Major shout out to the Onion, because when I got to 1380 ESPN Radio, everybody talked about the Onion, and he was known all throughout St. Louis. What was my man Charlie? There used to be
Charlie Tuna.
Charlie Tuna always talked about the Onion and was talking him up, and I used to produce one of his shows too.
Yeah, I did Charlie's show. Actually, Charlie was the last radio show that I did in St. Louis.
Oh wow!
Okay. And I'm going to say it on your show.
Go ahead.
Because I haven't said it publicly.
Okay.
But I guess I may as well say it on your show.
Go ahead.
So, I'm not doing the show. I could have done the show, but I just elected not to do it because I didn't want to be used as a prop, and I felt like I was being used as a prop.
Wow.
Because when I was doing his show, like, 2015, remember that was around the time when the Rams were threatening to leave,
right,
and all kind of shit was going on.
Yep.
And so basically when I'm doing that show, I gave him, he had somebody he could be able to sell to his sponsors. For example, he could say, all right, Toyota, I got Palmer Alexander out at Rams Park giving me updates. Hey, let me get 20,000. You know what I'm saying? Because so now I got to sit and listen to him talking about all the money he's getting off sponsorship. And then basically he want to bust my ass for $200. Wow. And if you raking in all this money from all these other places, and then, I ain't saying you give me your cut, but break bread. If I'm going to play a sidekick role, all right. Yeah. Think about this. Robin slept in the mansion, not in the gutter. Think about it.
Robin who?
Batman and Robin.
Oh,
Robin. You know what I'm saying?
My man took it back to Dick Ward, y'all. Bruce Wayne and Dick Ward. Yeah, that's true. He did sleep in the mansion. And let me tell you something. Can I tell you that I was about to interrupt you and say, okay, what are you about to say about Charlie? Is it about money? Because I knew that's where you was going with it. I mean, yeah, he was hella cheap. I mean, that's messed up. And the thing that's so jacked up about it, you bragging about how much money you're getting from sponsors, but the person that's getting you the most money, which is you, the producer, the person that's on site giving you info, or the producer producing the show, you're not breaking them off. Like, how stupid could you be? I knew you was gonna say something like that. I knew it.
No, and it's like, I just got tired of, he wanted me to act like I was just happy to be on the radio. I'm like, man, look, I cut my teeth. I've definitely paid my dues, so I'm not gonna be happy-go-lucky just to be on radio. Right. And I'm not about to sit here and listen. You brag about you getting 50 or 60,000, and you got to keep your team on par. You know what I'm saying? You got to, and if we are assistant to that, you got to break bread.
Yes.
And that's just the problem. Yep. That's the main problem.
Yep.
And I think he felt like if he invited us to Scott Rosenblum party, that was a big deal. Man, I mean, who cares about that shit, man? Not me.
Nobody. No,
yeah.
Unless Scott paying me to go, like, who gives a shit? You know what I'm saying? I know, and we know Scott Rosenblum. He does a lot in this city. Scott, you need to come on High Off the Glass because I want to talk to you about the dispensaries you done jumped into. But yeah, I definitely 100% understand that. So going from that being your last show, would you get like a salty taste in your mouth from that? Is that why that was your last radio show you produced, or was there like a bigger opportunity? What was the deal?
Well, I started to really see the writing on the wall. I mean, I want to be on ESPN Radio. I mean, that was definitely number one. It was some things that they just, listen, I'm just too live. They can't control me or whatnot. Yeah. I mean, I know where a lot of bodies are. I'm not going to go for the gotcha. I'm not going for no pump fakes. I'm a salty veteran that they left for dead, but I'm still here.
Right.
So it's like, they accept that I'm here, right? They like, he ain't going nowhere. Right. Because I got receipts. I got a lot of receipts,
buddy.
And they know I got receipts.
Yeah, buddy. So, okay, but, and I get that. So you leaving you leaving radio producing radio. That was Tunas was your last show. What's your next move? What'd you do after that?
I went in. I mean, I went in the zone full time, and
You talk about In the Zone. What is In the Zone? Is that awesome logo that you have on your hat? I love how you brand your stuff. In the Zone Network. What is that exactly?
yeah, the In the Zone Network is just it's a platform that is steady growing. It could be anything that I want it to be. One of my closest friends, he's in media now, and he told me I can make In the Zone Network whatever I want it to be. And I'm like, really? And he was like, you didn't need ESPN. And, I'm like, really? And I'm like, okay. I kept thinking about it.
True.
And
True.
then I just thought, he told me something, and I took, and this what really made it click.
Okay.
Like all those connections that I made while working at the St. Louis American, all those friendships that I made outside of that.
You ain't talk about that. You was at the American too?
Yeah, I was at the St. Louis American for 12 years.
Wow. Go ahead,
yeah,
Paul.
I mean, you need a whole nother hour to talk about that shit, man.
Man, hell yeah.
You need a whole nother hour to talk about that, man.
Right on.
I got a lot of work, man.
Right on.
I got a lot of work, man.
No doubt.
Trust me.
But what did he drop on you that made you that stuck with you?
He told me whatever I do, connections I make, I could take them wherever I go. And at that time, at the American, I had a professor from George Mason University reach out to me.
Okay.
And he had a student that wanted to write a piece on me, man. And I'm like, a journalism student, one of his journalism students wanted to write a paper on me.
Oh, dope.
And I'm like, damn, I am making an impact. And it wasn't nobody in St. Louis, it was somebody in Washington, D.C.
Right.
And that let me know that there are people outside watching you. And I wouldn't expect nobody at the PX say, hey, yeah, man, that was a good story you wrote the other day in the paper. You told them what it was. No, it was somebody outside of St. Louis. And then I'm like, I made a connection. And then before I knew it, when I started doing In the Zone, I had somebody in the DC area I could call to have on the show. Right. And then just started kind of, spawning out to other things, because I wasn't just interviewing people in St. Louis. I was interviewing people all across the country.
Exactly.
And the more I did that, the more I was able to stretch the network into other places without me physically being there, creating some mystique. And I think if you're going to be in this business, you got to create some mystique.
Bruh, you are shit. Where's my sound effect? You are hitting the nail on the fucking head. Like, bro, that is the truest fact. Like, I love when I do it like we're doing it right now with you with the Google Meet. That was the only good thing about the pandemic, is that we were able to have conference calls, video conference calls, like all these corporations do. We were able to do it as, residential people, people that we are in our homes, and we could just in our studios, wherever we're at, and we could just have a video call with somebody, and you could talk to folks anywhere on the planet. You know what I'm saying? That's what's so dope about it. And that's definitely something you have to do in the podcast game. You have to, talk to folks, outside of your area to make a impact like you're doing. Now, you have so many different shows that are under the In the Zone network. One of the shows I want you to talk about before we get up out of here, we got a little bit of time left, is Cannabis Corner. You do that with Mr. Zachary Post, who is the owner and creator of Canaween here in St. Louis. Canaween 4 was last night. It was amazing. What made you want to, what is your background in cannabis, and what made you, start that podcast with Zach?
Well, I'm always been the type of person, again, like I'm always looking ahead. I'm never satisfied with just doing the same thing. I'm just looking for something else, And me and Zach showed me a lot of support even way before he would start blowing up with Elite. And I told him, I said, look, man, hey, I want to have you on the show. And it went like 2 years. We were going back and forth. And I started getting even more interested in cannabis. I saw the way it was actually helping people, and realized I was wrong the way that I was even looking at cannabis, and saw how it helped people. And then, later on, when my grandmother was telling me, she used it, and I'm like, I love my grandma, and she loved the Lord.
Yeah.
Weed ain't bad, man. There's been people demonizing. So yes, it's all those things, man. Get a chance to educate myself, and also kind of use my skill set in broadcasting to kind of help articulate a way for it to be disseminated for the people,
Right.
so they can stop demonizing the way that they are. To make it more mainstream, and I want to be able to do that with my boys to also help it get out into the mainstream.
Praise God, man. Like that is what it's about. That is why we're out here doing what we do with this plant. You know, we're just trying to normalize, and show people the benefits of this plant, how great it is. All the good things that are about it, because there shouldn't be a negative stigma that is attached with something that does so much good for humans on this planet. And I guess you were one of those folks that had that bad, you were under that hypnotist of hypnotism, whatever the fuck the word is, of weed is bad, it's hard, it messes up people's lives, and it's a gateway drug. You used to believe that bullshit, huh?
Yeah, I mean, and think about this: the real gateway drug is cigarettes. All right, I mean that's
right. Them nasty ass things, for real. You ain't lying. I mean, that is the truth. Okay, so that's why you jumped into, you see the benefits of cannabis. That's why you jumped into doing that with Zach, huh?
And I had some other cannabis opportunities. Other companies want to partner up with the network, and some of them I just wasn't feeling them. Right. It was a company out of California. I'm a name it. It was called Seven Leaf, and it was just, like I said, it was a lot of smoke and mirrors. A lot of people will try to capitalize on what you do too. So there's been a couple of situations where it was companies like Seven Leaf, for example. They want to kind of use the network as their blocking back, so they can get their own cannabis initiatives off. And then we not getting nothing. They walk away with bags and bags of money. Yeah. So
no, that's not how it works. Nope.
Yeah. So it's a lot of banana in the tailpipe stuff shit be going on, man. So you got to keep your head on the swivel, bro.
You ain't lying, Palmer. That is exactly. There's a lot of banana in the tailpipe type shit. Before you get out of here, what's next? Talk about That's Football, which is an awesome podcast we got on My City, My City, My Music Network, and talk about what's next for In the Zone.
Yeah, so That's Football. Come on every Tuesday night. I got Will Freeman and Josh Price doing that show. Those are my guys. And mainly, the talking pro football, man. XFL, it ain't no meat on the bone really right now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's going to be some talk when it's time to, but, their focus right now is on the NFL, high school sports, what's going on the east side, too, with some of those schools and stuff. And I'm just happy for those guys. And we're working on some more guests, more credentialed NFL type of media people, not hacks, not people that do a podcast with 15 followers. No, we got real people that we have on that show, credible guests, to give our show that boost they need.
Right, man. That is awesome. I love that show. I love Josh. Other brother you got on there, he is good as well. Josh knows his sports. Josh, make sure you bring your ass back on High Off the Glass. We're gonna talk some more NBA and basketball coming up. In the Zone, what's next for y'all? And where can
no show tomorrow night. No show tomorrow night covering the Blues.
Okay.
And they got 3 more shows before that's going to be a wrap. Before the show going to go on hiatus before it resurfaces again. But I will be making appearances on other shows like yours, for example, because I do talk NBA. Yeah. And Josh was my NBA guy. We used to cut NBA segments. I'm getting that itch, so. Like I say, I definitely want to talk some NBA. I'm ready.
Oh, you need to come on here because I want to know who you got coming out of the East and who you got coming out of the West. And real quick, man, we didn't even touch on it. What are you doing for the Blues? Like this is like you said, you're the only brother in the press box for the St. Louis Blues. What are you doing for them? That's dope.
Content creating, basically getting that locker room, getting content. And get it to people who normally don't consume St. Louis Blues hockey, people that's colored like us. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's pretty awesome. Hey, I know hockey. The first trade I ever hated was when the Blues traded Joey Mullen to the Pittsburgh Penguins in the mid-1980s. It pissed me off. That was the first trade I ever hated in my life was a hockey trade.
That's what's up. I don't know none of them people. I know them teams, but all right. Well, right on. Yo, Palmer, this was dope. Palmer Alexander, tell people where they can find your show, where they can find you, man. Give your socials out real quick.
All right, you can find me at the Legend KIL. That's one L of kill, but kill still kills. So you can follow. You can find me at My City, My Music every Monday night except this Monday. And then listen, make sure you tune into my man. You know, the older great. And I be telling them, I said, yeah, man, I'm going on the Big O show. They're like, Orlando Pace. I'm like, so I got that bad, but
Right.
older great Big O. I think when I hear I think of greatness. You know what I mean? So. It's definitely a pleasure to be linking up with you, and I'm glad that now I know that you were my radio brothers. So you definitely know. Definitely know.
Yeah, I definitely know. Like, we didn't even have a chance to talk about that, but yeah, bruh. Thank you. I would have also known as Big O back in the day too. But this was dope. Love having you on. Thank you, Palmer Alexander, for giving us a minute. Next up on the show, Conversations with Cole. Make sure y'all stay tuned for Conversations with Cole. Nicole is up with her show. It is awesome. Palmer, thank you for being cool and taking the time, bro.
All right, brother. Look, I'm pulling up on you, though. I'm still going to pull up on you, man.
Make sure you do, man. Make sure you do. All right, bro. We'll talk to you later, man. Peace.